provided by Thomas Allgaier and Freinis, based on the most relevant LinkedIn posts about field marketing in calendar weeks 30 and 31. Freinis supports clients with identifying target attendees for events, crafting outreach that cuts through the noise, and driving qualified registrations through strategic LinkedIn engagement. You can find more info in the description. So, imagine spending $200,000 this year on items only to find out that 80% of that budget generated absolutely zero measurable revenue.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that is the brutal reality facing a lot of B2B marketing teams right now. So welcome to our deep dive into the top field marketing trends across the industry today.
Right, and we are looking at a massive structural shift in how teams approach this entire space.
Totally.
Like if you're operating under that old playbook of measuring events by, good vibes, instinct, and just how many people showed up to the cocktail hour.
Yeah, the classic vanity metric.
Exactly. You are going to get left behind. We're transitioning into an era of really strict financial underwriting, highly strategic experience design, and deep AI integration.
Okay, so if I'm a listener tuning in right now and I am sweating because my CFO just asked me to justify our Q3 event spend, where do I even begin? Because the traditional recap deck just doesn't seem to cut it anymore.
It doesn't. You really have to start by running a ruthless audit. Nick Bennett recently outlined a framework for auditing 4 quarters of event spend. And I mean, it is the definition of a reality check.
Okay, what's his approach?
He suggests stripping away all the fluff and using this super simple 5-column spreadsheet.
Just 5?
Just 5. You list the event name, the total cost, pipeline sourced, pipeline influenced, and closed won revenue.
Let me guess. There is no column for brand lift or impressions or the number of badge scans you collected?
None.
No.
0. And he applies a really strict 30-day rule to it, too.
Meaning what?
Meaning if an opportunity was not created or advanced within 30 days of that event taking place, the event does not get credit, period.
Wow, okay. That is brutal.
Yeah, well, when he ran this specific audit across 12 events, and these averaged about $18,000 each on a $200,000 total budget, the results were just stark.
I can imagine.
Only one single event produced closed revenue. 1 out of 12. 8 of those events produced absolutely nothing measurable. That left over $150,000 in dead spend.
Not just underperforming, like completely dead spend.
Dead spend.
That is a terrifying number to hand to a finance team, It really makes me wonder why marketing teams don't routinely run this kind of audit before the CFO forces them to.
Because the answers are incredibly uncomfortable. I mean, conference sponsorships often get renewed on autopilot simply because the sales team enjoys the dinners.
Right.
Or because a VP really likes the optics of having their logo on the main stage.
Oh, for sure. The ego spend.
Exactly. And nobody wants to be the one to present a spreadsheet proving that their champion event generated 0 actual pipeline. So the recap decks just get padded with vanity metrics to hide the reality.
It feels a lot like relying on a count of window shoppers instead of looking at the actual cash register receipts.
That is a perfect analogy.
Right, because you can report back, well, we got 847 badge scans, which looks incredibly productive in a colorful slide deck. But when those 847 scans result in 0 booked meetings 30 days later, it looks terrible in a pipeline report. You literally cannot pay payroll with a badge scan.
No, you can't. And the root of that problem is often structural. There's data from Cvent, which was recently highlighted by Christina Kormis, showing that only 36% of event teams have fully connected their event data to their broader CRM and marketing systems.
Wow, only 36%.
Yeah, which explains why teams completely freeze when leadership asks about ROI. They literally cannot trace the attendee's journey from the event floor to a signed contract.
But when that data is connected, I mean, the entire narrative around field marketing changes, doesn't it?
Radically. Bryce Alston shared some really compelling data from Popple on this exact dynamic. They found that organizations with a formal, automated post-event CRM routing process can trace nearly 10 times more revenue back to their events.
10 times?
10 times more revenue. They also noted that roughly 1 in 5 won deals involved an in-person touch point before the close.
Okay, that's significant.
Right, and we are seeing companies like RainFocus step in to solve this gap. Adam Perry highlighted their new sales module, which is designed to plug event activity directly into the CRM, so reps can build personalized agendas for their prospects, and every bit of that engagement flows back into the attribution model, tracing the revenue right back to the cost center that funded the trip.
Okay, let me push back on that for a second.
Sure.
If we govern every single second of the event, and we quota every rep and track every single handshake in a CRM, aren't we kind of instrumenting the magic out of events?
I get what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the best, most lucrative deals I've ever seen usually start as an untrackable throwaway line at a hotel bar or a random conversation while you're waiting for a taxi. If we turn the event floor into a tightly monitored spreadsheet, don't we risk suffocating the actual human connection that makes in-person events work in the first place?
I completely understand the fear of over-engineering the human element. But let's look at the alternative and why we have to track this channel so rigorously right now. Steve Armenti shared some data that paints a really bleak picture for digital outbound.
Oh, is this about the email reply rates?
Yes. Cold email reply rates have plummeted from about 7% in 2023 to 3.43% today.
Ouch.
Yeah. And meanwhile, the outbound volume per rep has skyrocketed by 6.4 times. Buyers are completely ignoring digital outreach.
Because they're drowning in it. They're muting the ads, they're deleting the sequences, and they're just setting up inbox filters to block anything that even looks like a pitch.
Exactly the point. But those same buyers are still willing to get on a plane for a well-curated event. They still say yes to a private room full of their peers. Field marketing is becoming the absolute strongest channel connected to real revenue simply because it is the one place buyers are still willing to drop their guard. The stakes are just too high to leave that to chance or, magic.
That's a fair point. If that in-person attention is so valuable and we have to strictly prove ROI, that forces us to look really closely at where we are actually spending the budget.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the automatic instinct for most companies is to just buy a bigger, flashier 10 by 10 booth on the trade show floor.
Which is often the worst possible investment you could make.
Really?
Yeah, Christina Pilo makes a great argument about this. She points out that most requests for a new booth are actually just deep strategy problems in disguise.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, teams operate under this delusion that a more expensive exhibit with better lighting will magically fix their pipeline issues, when in reality, they haven't even defined who they are trying to reach or what they want those attendees to remember.
I see that all the time. The focus is entirely on the physical footprint rather than the audience architecture.
Yeah.
So how should a marketing team reframe that spending?
Ashley Nelson's curated conversion framework provides a really solid lens for this. Her philosophy is that every single dollar in an event budget must do one of four things. It has to attract the right people, elevate their experience, capture reusable assets, or convert attendees.
Okay, attract, elevate, capture, convert. I like that.
Right. And her bottom line is ruthless but accurate. She argues it is far better to spend $5,000 getting the right 100 people into a private room than to spend that same $5,000 decorating a booth for the wrong 100 people who just happen to walk by.
Wow. Yeah, that completely breaks the traditional trade show model. Because if we agree that curating the right 100 people is more valuable than just standing in a booth scanning badges, what does that mean for how teams actually spend their time on the floor?
Well, John Lane actually brought up a massive hot take ahead of the Newtopia Now event that speaks to this perfectly. He argued that booking formal scheduled meetings at a trade show booth is a colossal waste of a trip.
A waste of a trip.
Yeah. His logic is that if you already have an established relationship with the buyer, you do not need to fly across the country for a 15-minute booth appointment.
Yeah.
You could do that on Teams from your desk any week of the year.
Oh, I love that perspective, because if your calendar at a trade show looks exactly like your calendar back at the office, just back-to-back 30-minute blocks, why did you even get on the plane?
Exactly.
You're just replicating your desk in a really loud, overpriced convention center. The actual value of the trade show floor is the hallway track. It's about unplanned discovery. It's bumping into the person you didn't know you needed to see.
Which explains why the real momentum is migrating away from the official booth entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Dunn, he was building on some insights from Kayla Drake, and he points out that the true ROI often comes from wrapper events.
Wrapper events, like the stuff around the main show.
Exactly. We're talking about the private dinners, the partner-hosted happy hours, or the wellness experiences happening down the street from the convention center. Those off-floor moments routinely outproduce the actual booth when it comes to having valuable pipeline-generating conversations.
It creates a fascinating push and pull, really. You might need a small presence on the floor to flag people down, but the real conversion happens at the dinner that night.
Yep.
And by the way, if you are listening to this right now and finding these insights helpful for navigating your own B2B marketing strategy, take a quick second to make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our future deep dives.
Definitely do that. And, balancing that physical presence with digital presence is another area where teams get it entirely wrong.
How so?
Well, Jose Coronel pointed out a huge contradiction in how companies allocate visibility budgets. He noted that companies he used freight forwarders, as an example, they will blindly drop $5,000 on a 3-day trade show booth without hesitation, just for the brand visibility. But those same companies refuse to spend 2 hours a week compounding that brand visibility on LinkedIn.
Right. They will pay a massive premium to rent attention for 72 hours, collect a stack of business cards that nobody follows up on, and then completely ignore the platform where their visibility could compound organically every single week.
Exactly.
It's just a fundamental misunderstanding of how modern trust is built, because you build trust over time digitally and then you accelerate it in person.
Perfectly said. So if we are pulling these attendees away from rigid scheduled booth meetings and generic trade show floors, and we're moving them into these highly curated wrapper events and private dinners, we really have to look critically at experience design.
Right, because if the real money is made in the margins, how do we actually design the time they spend with us so it doesn't just feel like another draining corporate obligation?
So Courtney Dagger brings up this brilliant concept she calls agenda white space. She describes it as the white whale of event planning.
Agenda white space.
Yeah. Too often, event organizers look at an empty block on a schedule as a problem to solve or a gap to fill. They want to maximize the perceived value of the ticket price by packing every single minute with a keynote or a panel or a breakout session.
But that mindset treats an event like a checklist instead of an experience.
Exactly.
I mean, think about it like a multi-course tasting menu at a fine dining restaurant. You would never stuff your guests with 10 heavy courses back to back to back without giving them time to breathe, digest, and actually talk to the person across the table.
No, of course not.
You intentionally pace it out. If we suffocate the white space in a conference agenda, we completely kill the cognitive bandwidth required for networking.
That's spot on. Dagger argues that pacing a multi-day conference should be like a seminar syllabus. Those unscheduled, unstructured windows are the exact moments an attendee bumps into a speaker they really wanted to meet.
Right.
It's where a casual coffee conversation turns into a massive partnership 6 months down the line.
Right.
It's the difference between forcing engagement and just allowing it to breathe naturally.
I completely agree. And beyond just pacing, experience design also has to tackle who we are unintentionally excluding from these moments.
Absolutely. Leon Joseph brings up a fantastic point about inclusivity regarding late arrivals.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah, because most events do one massive high-energy welcome at 9:00 a.m. But in the real world, people get delayed by brutal traffic, canceled flights, or morning childcare issues.
Life happens, yeah.
Exactly. And when they finally do arrive at, say, 11:30, they usually just slip into the back of the room feeling completely unacknowledged and disconnected from the group for the rest of the day.
That is such a common, isolating experience. How does she recommend solving it?
Her solution is incredibly simple but effective. She suggests taking 30 seconds after a break or during a transition to explicitly acknowledge the newcomers with a quick round of applause.
Oh, I love that.
It requires zero budget, but it completely changes the dynamic. It signals that no matter when you arrive, you are a valued part of the room, not a second-class attendee who missed the real kickoff.
That is brilliant. And real inclusion goes deeper than just scheduling, right?
Definitely.
Phil Mershon took this a step further by looking at sensory accessibility. He recalled a closing session at Social Media Marketing World. It ended with this massive spectacle, fireworks on the screen, cannons roaring, confetti guns firing everywhere.
Right, and the organizers probably thought they were delivering a premium rock concert kind of experience.
Exactly. But Mershon, who had suffered a previous brain injury, realized that while most of the room was cheering, a quiet handful of attendees were completely shell-shocked.
Oh, wow.
Sensory-heavy moments actively exclude people. Designing for accessibility goes far beyond just slapping a token quiet room on a floor plan. It means designing the main central experience so it doesn't actively overwhelm the neurodivergent people in your audience.
That's such a critical point. Okay, so let's say you do everything right. You defend the budget, you ditch the generic booth for a curated dinner, you bake white space into the agenda, and you design a highly inclusive experience.
Sounds like a perfect event. Then what?
Then what? Well, Alexandra Panyukina warns about the harsh post-event reality. She actually admitted to failing at her own advice on this because her sales team jumped straight from one event into packing their bags and prepping for the next one on the calendar.
Ah, right. Because if your reps get back from a show on a Friday and on Monday morning they have to instantly send out new invites for a different conference next month, follow-up failure is basically guaranteed.
Pipeline requires relentless focus. Panyukina argues that reps need a minimum of 3 weeks between events to actually execute the follow-up required to close deals.
3 weeks?
At least. I mean, if you invest $50,000 in curating the perfect room, you cannot afford to only capture 40% of the potential pipeline just because your reps' calendars were too packed to send an email.
Yes, and we should clarify that follow-up cannot just be a generic automated email blast that says thanks for stopping by.
Oh, absolutely not.
Because if you just spent days building in-person trust, a robotic email destroys it instantly. Alex Adkins recommends getting highly creative with the follow-up.
Right. He suggests things like sending a personal video recap recorded by the exact person the attendee spoke with on site.
That's great. Or, one of my favorite tactics, if you ran out of a highly popular piece of swag at the booth, take note of who missed out. Then, mail that specific item to their office a week later with a handwritten note saying, "These went fast, but we saved one specifically for you."
Oh, that's incredibly smart.
Right. That makes the follow-up feel like a genuine extension of the event experience rather than a generic nurture sequence tacked onto the end of a campaign.
But here's the catch. Pulling off that level of personalization at scale, knowing exactly who to invite, managing the white space, sending custom physical swag, is an operational nightmare for small teams.
It really is.
Which brings us to the operational reality of modern field marketing. To free up human teams to actually be human, the industry is turning heavily toward AI.
Okay, let's talk about the AI stack, because the capabilities are moving incredibly fast.
They are. Anka Playton-Tryfen recently ran a test where she connected Claude to her in-event account using an MCP, which stands for Model Context Protocol. Took her about 30 seconds to set up.
Wait, MCP, I know we're throwing acronyms around, but what exactly is that?
Yeah, I want to pause on that acronym because MCP is a massive paradigm shift. Normally, using AI for event data means exporting a huge CSV file, uploading it to a chatbot, and just hoping it understands the formatting.
Right, which is always a headache.
Total headache.
Yeah.
But an MCP essentially gives the AI a live, active door into your software platform. It can read and query the current, changing data directly in real time.
Oh, wow. Which changes the workflow entirely. So instead of dealing with spreadsheets, she just casually asked Claude to review her event's agenda. And it instantly pulled all 9 sessions and flagged a 15-minute scheduling overlap that her human team had completely missed.
Exactly. That is the power of AI as an operational co-pilot. Jonathan Kazarian highlighted HubSpot's new Agent Hub, which is doing something very similar for the sales side.
How does that work?
It processes both structured and unstructured event data, like analyzing the specific breakout sessions a particular attendee went to automatically surface expansion sales opportunities.
Oh, so if a current customer is paying for product A, but the AI notices they spent the entire 3-day conference attending deeply technical sessions about product C, it flags that intent for the sales rep.
You got it.
That is infinitely more powerful than handing a rep a generic list that just says, "John Smith attended our event."
Night and day difference. And Julia Solaris reported on how far this AI integration can go at a massive scale. Look at Dreamforce, which is a 50,000-person mega event.
Huge.
They essentially replaced the traditional clunky event website entirely. They cut the navigation down to just 5 items and put an AI agent front and center to handle the thousands of attendee questions.
And it even generated tailored Convince Your Boss pitch templates based on exactly how a specific attendee uses Salesforce in their day-to-day role.
Yeah. Manpreet Wadhan from Social 27 really frames AI's real job for event teams around 3 core functions: personalizing every single attendee journey, automating the repetitive operational workflows, and enabling real-time decisions on the floor.
And critically, doing all of this without requiring the marketing team to add additional headcount.
That's the dream.
Okay, but I have to throw a major flag here, though.
Uh-oh, what is it?
Well, I look at all these incredible AI tools, and I see a very real danger.
Okay.
If every single event marketer is using the exact same AI platforms, trained on the exact same industry trend reports, and using the exact same prompts to optimize their agendas.
Ah, I see where you're going.
Aren't we just going to end up with a sea of sameness? Are we going to optimize ourselves into identical, perfectly efficient, completely soulless conferences? Where is the room for the courage to try an irrational, deeply human idea that an algorithm would never recommend?
That is such a good point, and is the exact reality check Evan Srivastava brought to the conversation. He pointed out that AI is incredible for the operational heavy lifting work. Right.
It is brilliant at scoring 4,000 badge scans and narrowing them down to the 40 prospects that actually matter. It is great at forecasting footfall so the catering team knows when to bring out the coffee.
But it cannot read a room.
Exactly. AI cannot tell that a CFO in the front row went quiet because she is skeptical rather than just bored. It cannot sense when a pitch is failing and you need to throw away the slide deck and just have a real conversation.
Totally.
Srivastava's point is that nobody signs a 7-figure enterprise deal because they had a frictionless experience with a chatbot on a registration page. They signed the contract because someone shook their hand at 9 p.m. in a half-empty lounge, looked them in the eye, and actually listened to their problem.
So the goal isn't to let AI run the event or to let an algorithm dictate the creative strategy. The goal is to relentlessly automate the operational friction so that human beings have the energy, the time, and the cognitive bandwidth to focus on the messy, creative, relationship-building work that actually closes deals. Spot on. AI is there to optimize what has already been proven to work. But experiential marketing succeeds when someone has the courage to try what has not been tried before.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, as you look at your own event strategy for the next year? We want to leave you with this final thought to ponder.
Okay.
As AI continues to flood our digital channels with synthetic content and just an infinite stream of perfectly written, automated emails, the ultimate premium asset in B2B marketing will not be digital reach. It will be unfakeable, in-person trust. The more screen time we endure, the more valuable offline serendipity becomes.
If you enjoyed this episode, new episodes drop every 2 weeks. Also, check out our other editions on account-based marketing, channel and partner marketing, AI and B2B, MarTech, go-to-market, and social selling.
Thanks so much for taking this deep dive with us today. Protect your budget, defend your agenda white space, and we will catch you on the next edition.